Welcome back, Pokemon trainers, here for top 4 at the Frankfurt Regional Championships. It was meant to just be myself here, but Rob, being the wonderful boyfriend that he is to Romy wanted to cast finals for her first debut, and she wanted to cast with me, not you. So
yeah, it's weird how I'm in this couple stream. I'm still the third wheel here, but I'm just a wonderful person generally. You know, that's just always me.
You know, there's some good luck going to come your way for this good deed.
Yeah, this better go unnoticed somehow.
That's why Rob's back. So we're both still on tenterhooks in that previous game. We've heard from our stream lead. Unfortunately, there were a few tech issues, and you guys may not have actually caught the end of it. It might have just been us talking to ourselves. But just to confirm that Alexandra actually did win. So she will be advancing to top 4. We're letting her have a break. So she won't be the first top 4 game that we're going to be casting. We're actually going to be casting Matthias again. So Lega is going to be on stream against Matteo Agostini as well.
Yeah, so Lega, of course, a very, very known player, very old school as well. He's been in top 16 worlds in 2016. Really good player for sure, and a German player as well, which is always nice to have. Yep. He's the only German player left, is he?
I believe so. Yeah. Yes. So very exciting.
So he's the only one left to defend his home country here. Maybe able to bring the title home to Germany, but in Matteo we got a good contestant there. I don't know too much about him.
I've actually played him before, and he completely bodied me. He's such a great player. That's
not too impressive, Luke. Come on.
Oh, no, come on, okay. Sometimes I have my good days. It all depends if Porygon Z is behaving. But the lovely thing about Matteo is yesterday he was in his final round. I was downstairs waiting to pick up Sam Bentham for his game, and Matteo was like, "Oh, I want to be on stream. I want to be on stream." And I literally said to him, "Keep winning. You know, win, get to tomorrow, and you can, be on Top Cut streams." And he actually has made it all the way here. Unfortunately, we couldn't stream him in top 16 or top 8, so top 4 was his goal. And hopefully now he's going to get the stream bug and, for him, champion his way onto the final. But Lega's going to be standing in his way.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. So we haven't seen his team at all. So I heard he's running some interesting tags, and we're going to see that right away. So Luke, take us through these teams.
Yeah, well, you can see on the right-hand side on Matthias' team, the one that we've seen quite often on stream so far, and we saw him showcase this this morning as well. Going to be that Xerneas, Incineroar, Groudon, Venusaur, Kartana, and the Heatran. The Heatran being my personal favourite on that team. But Matteo has got a really quirky team of the Kyogre, Incineroar, Amoonguss, Tornadus, Serena, and the Xerneas. I love seeing that Tornadus on there.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's one of these Pokemon you don't see a lot at all, but it gets some interesting moves. It's a Soul Flying type, and it gets access to the Prankster ability. Being able to set up a fast Tailwind, potentially even something like Taunt, for example. And it gets Hurricanes. And inside Rain, the Hurricanes are going to do a lot of damage. So it's kind of an interesting Pokemon to support this Kyogre. One of the few Tailwind setters as well in this format that are actually pretty good next to a Kyogre. And then the Tsarina is as well as something that's very often used in combination with that Kyogre there. But we do see the Xerneas Incineroar combination on both of these players' teams. And that's kind of a staple that we've seen, I think, in all the teams so far in top 8. It's Xerneas Incineroar. That's the good core. That's kind of the good stuff of this format.
They're so common as well. You mentioned the Tornadus having access to things like Hurricane in the rain. That's something that's going to be really beneficial against that Venusaur. We've seen a lot of the times if you leave that Venusaur unchecked, it can get itself up, Chlorophyll boosted in Sun, and just cause so much drama to your team.
Yeah, and the best thing is that it gets Prankster, so Venusaur is actually faster than Tornadus in the Sun, but being able to taunt that Venusaur just shuts it down a little bit at least.
No more sleep powders.
No more sleep powders means that you don't have to worry about it as much as you usually do. So I'm really interested to see what kind of Matthias goes for here.
Yeah, probably going to see a lot of the Xerneas Incineroar, but the team that's actually going to be jumping out straight away for I think it's Matthias on the other side. The names are a little bit confusing at the moment. It's going to be the Venusaur and the Groudon, and the Tornadus and the Incineroar coming out for Matteo. So first of all, we get to see that Venusaur in the sunshine straight away. So unless Matteo is able to bring in something like the Groudon, like the Kyogre to completely switch up the weather, it's going to be really interesting to see this Venusaur being not shut down in the sunshine.
Yeah, exactly. So, but at least he still has the potential to potentially taunt it here. You can go for a fake out taunt, for example, to shut it down at least a little bit. If you're Matthias, you might just want to scout out to see what this Tornadus is going to go for, and to scout out for this fake out as well. But Matthias is going to reposition instead. Going to bring in his
Yeah, it's going to be the Xerneas, so one of those big powerhouses as well, and not a Pokemon Incineroar necessarily wants to be facing down against. Fake out coming out into the Venusaur, though, going to do a little bit of chip damage as Tailwind does come out from the Tornadus.
Yeah, good play.
Yeah, getting the speed boosted up, but of course that Xerneas switching in, though, is going to run a risk to a taunt potentially from that Tornadus, stopping any Geomancy from going out.
But if I just look at Matthias' team, this combination of Incineroar and Tailwind combined next to the Tornadus there, I think he only really has his own Incineroar and Heatran that want to take a Flare Blitz in the sun. Tornadus could also just taunt the Xerneas, being able to shut it down, and he can even knock it off. So he has a lot of options here, and Matthias has to protect here.
Yeah, protecting out that Venusaur is definitely a safe play for him at the moment. As Taunt does go off into that Xerneas, it's going to stop any Geomancies coming off. I wonder if Matthias has gone into that. No, going to go straight for the Dazzling Gleam. Knew that the Geomancy wasn't going to be possible and just wants to get some chip damage off onto the Incineroar, but most notably doing 50% to the Tornadus.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage. And yeah, Matthias just realizing that, okay, first of all, I'm staring down both knockoff and probably taunt, so it's not really worth it to try and set up my Geomancy here.
Exactly.
And we see Xerneas, even without a Geomancy, can do a lot of damage still. So that's definitely worth to go just for the Dazzling Gleam there, getting some chip damage off. And Matteo now kind of probably wants to double this Venusaur slot. It all depends on what kind of Pokemon Matthias has in the back. We've seen this kind of his mode against Kyogre is bringing the Kartana. So if it is that Kartana in the back, then he doesn't really have a good switch in into a big Flare Blitz from Incineroar.
Yeah, and very risky bringing in the Xerneas while the Venusaur is still quite active and going to be going for the Sleep Powders, but it does manage to avoid. The Dazzling Gleam once again coming out from the Xerneas. Tornado's no longer on the field though, safely in the back as Flare Blitz in the sun is going to come out. So setting up the sun in turn 1 is going to go against Matthias here as his Venusaur is going to be KO'd by the boosted Flare Blitz on Matthias' Incineroar.
Yeah, it's a good call by Lega there. I kind of like what he did there. He made sure that, okay, either Tornadus has to taunt me, and he goes down to the Dazzling Gleam, or if he switches, and I get off a Sleep Powder. So, yes, you sack your Venusaur in the process, but you would get off something either way. But unfortunately, he misses the Sleep Powder there, and he gives Matteo kind of a good switch into his own Xerneas. But now it's staring down a Groudon and an opposing Xerneas, so it's not really free at all to try and set up a Geomancy. It is in Tailwind, so it is able to get the boost before Matthias can do anything about it. But he already switched in his Incineroar before this Groudon came in, so a Precipice Blade is still going to do a lot of damage. And a double up with a Moonblast and a Precipice Blade could potentially pick up the KO on Matteo, because we've seen on this kind of court that it's usually Choice Band Groudon, so that's going to do a lot of damage.
Exactly, and Matteo has his Incineroar
and he's probably going to double
field.
the Groudon here.
Yeah, going just straight for a Moonblast here. Doesn't have the opportunity to go for any Intimidates as the Incineroar's already on the field, but if he doubles up into it, this could be dealing a huge amount of damage.
Ooh, if
Dazzling
Incineroar
Gleam.
lives this.
It does manage to survive on 9 HP. The boost on that Xerneas not being activated, really, really helping out the Incineroar here. Able to munch on its berry and regain 50% of its health as well. Now going for the Flare Blitz. Again, the berry is such a good item on Incineroar because now it's not going to be KO'd to its own Flare Blitz and recoil.
But he didn't wait for the Groudon.
No, goes into the Xerneas, but does over 50% in the sun. Oh, and Precipice Blades does avoid. So, unfortunately, that slot on Matthias' team is just not being very accurate. The Sleep Powder missed, and so did the Precipice Blades.
Yeah, so it's really unfortunate there for Matthias. And Taunt actually wears off, though. So his Xerneas is at least, as an option, potentially set up Geomancy this time now.
But Matteo could bring back in the Tornadus.
Yeah, he definitely can, but the Tornadus was actually in range for Dazzling Gleam as well. And now it also kind of depends on what kind of Kyogre this is. If this is one of these Scarf Kyogre that we sometimes see, a big Water Spout can just clean up the field here for Matteo, because the Groudon has already switched in.
We still don't know, I believe, the fourth Pokemon on Matthias' side.
No, we haven't seen that yet.
But if it's something like the Heatran, you can't switch that in. If it's something like the Incineroar, you can't switch that in either.
And even if it's a Saltfest Kartana, Water Spout in the rain at full health from a Kyogre.
Oh, it's going to be powerful.
That's going to do a lot of damage. It's not going to pick up the KO, but the next one then will. So I think it all depends on what kind of Kyogre this is from Matteo's side. I think if this is Scarf Kyogre, he's in such a good position. And even if it's not, if it's just a false Kyogre in general, he's also in a really good position. As long as it's kind of faster than this Xerneas, I would say.
Exactly. I think, though, if it's in the back and it's not Choice Scarfed, you would potentially have maybe got the Tornadus in to get that Tailwind up so that you could bring it in at the end, late game as well. But, of course, you did have to play around that Xerneas. If you get the Geomancy up, it's not going to only have good speed, but it's going to have good special defense and negate some of the damage from that Water Spout. But revealing there, it is the Kartana in the back there, as Incineroar will jump back to Matteo as well, and we're going to see the Tornadus come out once again. But if it is Choice Scarf, he's just going to be able to go through this team. Even if the sun comes back up with Groudon coming back in, Tornadus gets access to roleplay, doesn't it?
Oh, I think it does.
Thunderous?
No, I think it does actually. Judging from, I think we've seen that a little bit in 2016 as well. And that Water Spout just does so much damage. Even though it says Saltfest Kartana, so I can't really judge how much, what kind of item this Kyogre has. But the way he's been playing it, I kind of have to assume that it is maybe a Scarf Kyogre, and we're going to see that right away. Matthias has to switch in his Groudon to lower this damage. But is it roleplay?
If it is, it would definitely be the time to use it, particularly if you've got the choice scarf, because the prankster ability is going to go off first. Just get that weather back up in your favor and then leave you able to click
it's Rain Dance
or
instead.
Rain Dance. That's even easier, let's be honest. You don't need to worry about the abilities if as long as you get the status move that gives you what you need, and that's going to be the Rain Dance. So getting that rain back onto the field. Groudon can't do anything about that as Water Spout comes out. Such a great move there, Matteo. This Tornado's really being the perfect partner on his team.
Yeah, great play by Matteo there. Really safe for him as well. It's just, this Kyogre was in such a good spot, and he made sure that it was next to the Tornadoes at the right time, where he could just spam Rain Dance and Water Spout and just clean up the entire field for Matthias. He got rid of the one Pokemon that could really switch into that. We rusted Venusaur, and this Kartana already had to switch into it earlier, taking already so much damage, so it can't take another Water Spout.
No, exactly.
So I think Matthias, the way he reacted and the way he's played this, he didn't know about this Rain Dance Thunderous. So that's kind of why he played the way he did. He was hoping I could just bring in my Groudon, get my own weather up, and get my Geomancy going.
But unfortunately, that was not the case, and Matteo was able to win Game 1 here in top 4. He is one game away from the grand finals here. There's got to be some adrenaline coursing through his body right now.
Yeah, that's very exciting. But as we've seen in the last game, that's definitely not always enough. There's still at least one more game to go, and Lega is definitely not a player you can easily count out here. And it looks like he kind of caught off guard by that kind of tech from the Tornadoes there. So now that he knows that, he can definitely reposition himself and make sure that he plays accordingly.
It's definitely hard for him to work around as well, because looking at his team, we mentioned this before in his top 16 game, it's a very fire and sun base. You've got 3 fire types on there. You've got the Venusaur that loves the sunshine. If the rain is up, it's really troublesome for you. So you always want to make sure you position your Groudon really well to get it in, to get the sun up. But if you're facing down a prankster Rain Dance, that is really difficult to do.
Yeah, and the difficult thing is as well that like his grass counters in Venusaur and Kartana, the Kyogre actually outspeeds the Kartana, which makes for kind of an interesting mechanic. And then with the Tornadoes having Tailwind as well, being able to taunt the Venusaur, like a lot of these grass types that Matthias has to answer this Kyogre, gets shut down a little bit. So maybe the way that he has to go is maybe put on some more pressure with the Xerneas, because I think he did that really well in the early stages of the game. But Matteo just got himself into a position where at some point he could just bring in that Kyogre, and Matthias already had his Groudon on the field. Was not able to switch it in for the sun, and afterwards Rain Dance Water Spout just cleared the board. So it's really in terms of positioning, you have to be really careful when playing these Kyogre teams if you're running a Groudon Xerneas team, because you need to make sure that you have the sun in the back when you need to switch it in. And even then, you also have to be worried about, okay, is there also this Tornadoes next to it, which can just Rain Dance whatever it wants. So there's a lot of factors that Matthias has to take into account. And it really shows that in this kind of match, you have to think about at least 3 turns ahead in terms of positioning. Because they matter so much. These well, there's not primals yet.
Not yet. They want to be.
These legendaries, they do so much damage. So you really have to plan your positioning.
Exactly, and it'll be very interesting to see if they want to change up their leads. Obviously, the Venusaur, Groudon, good combination there from Matthias, but whether he's going to stick with it, we'll have to see. Going to be the same from Matteo, though, the Incineroar and the Tornadus, and it's going to be exactly the same from Matthias as well, going to be the Venusaur and Groudon. So sticking with exactly the same strategy from both these players, but potentially, if you're Matthias, you're going to want to conserve that Venusaur a little bit more.
Yeah, the interesting part here is that, though, even though the last time Matteo got up Tailwind, the Incineroar proved to be still pretty slow. It was still outsped by the Venusaur last time. It was still outsped by the Xerneas as well. So even though he can set up Tailwind, this Incineroar is still not offering too much in terms of speed pressure there. But the Tornadoes just right from the get-go, making sure that it can taunt the Venusaur. So if I was Matthias, like last time, the Tornadoes was so problematic. Maybe you just want to double it up this time. Make sure that it gets out of the field as soon as you can. But the one tricky part about that is that you can maybe give Kyogre a free switch in, which is definitely something that you don't want.
That's true. Although then you are limiting, you're going back to like your game plan of just playing against the Kyogre in terms of setting up the Drizzle. That's probably,
that makes it a little bit easier at least.
Yeah, you're not fighting against 2 Pokemon here, but going to be the Groudon leaving the field, however, and it's going to be the Incineroar jumping in just to throw a little bit of Intimidate back at the board here. But you never know. It could be the Taunt going into the Venusaur just to stop the Sleep Powder from coming off, and then a powerful Flare Blitz in the Sun. You know, Matteo using the Sun against Matthias' team, but we're not going to see that happening as there's a Protect coming out from the Venusaur. Really wise. And it's going to be actually the Tailwind coming up here. So even though Incineroar doesn't really benefit from that, as you've explained, it's always nice to have it maybe if you're all a Pokemon.
Yeah, that's still a good turn by Matteo again. He's just, I think both terms, he's just not fearing the banded press plus blades at all. But it makes sense, because when you go for Tailwind on the same turn, yes, Matthias can go for that, but then you just bring in your Kyogre and you just clean the board. So that's something that you can't afford if you're Matthias. But the good thing that he has Fake Out pressure as well as Sleep Powder pressure. And this Tornadus might not have Protect, for example. We've seen a lot of coverage move that it has. And maybe it decided to drop Protect. We're not sure yet. We're going to see right away if it's going to Protect or if it's not going to protect at all.
Yeah, first of all, Incineroar does get the Fake Out. I'm going to go into that Tornado slot as Sleep Powder does come out, but there isn't a Void.
Again.
That was actually going onto the Kyogre, so if that Sleep Powder connected, that would have been so strong from Matthias, able to then completely shut down Kyogre from doing that big damage.
Oh, that's really unfortunate there for Matthias. Again missing that 75% accurate move, and you're thinking like at least two in a row. They should at least be connecting one, right?
Oh yeah, bad luck for him.
That's unfortunately not always the case. That's not really how RNG works, unfortunately.
Get your Venusaur
but now we have this interesting thing, because Matteo can either go for this Rain Dance Water Spout, but he can also go for a Hurricane Water Spout to KO the Venusaur. And Matthias is hoping that he doesn't go for this Rain Dance here, because he's going to bring in his Groudon.
Yeah, I mean, if you were going for something like the Hurricane, getting the Sun Up's really going to help your odds of that move not connecting. And after we've seen the Venusaur miss 2 moves, potentially...
Oh, it is the Rain Dance.
Could be the luck in his favor. But no, Rain Dance were going to happen. Matteo wants to keep the rain up, doesn't want any of the extra boost that Sun's going to give in terms of firepower and also that Chlorophyll ability. As Water Spout comes out here from the Kyogre, going to be picking up the
damage.
KO. Oh my gosh, that was so strong against the Groudon and that Venusaur. Even though it's resisted, it did so much damage.
And the Sleep Powder, is it going to connect this time? It is finally going to connect. So at least a little bit of luck back into Matthias' favor there. But yes, you put the Kyogre to sleep, but you lose your Groudon in return, and you take a lot of damage on your Venusaur. And the thing is now as well, now this Tornadus is going to be in rain for at least a few turns remaining. So it's able to fire off potential Hurricanes into whatever it wants to, really, into this Venusaur. Or maybe into this Kartana, because the Assault Vest Kartana doesn't want to take a Hurricane at all. That's going to do a lot of damage.
Exactly. Matteo is now locked down the rain, basically. There's no more sun. Groudon has been KO'd.
Yeah.
And I think that was so masterful for him because, yes, you are going to have your Kyogre taking a little bit of a nap, but you got rid of that sun. And I think that's critical for him here. Doesn't necessarily need to be clicking Rain Dance anymore now. He can be utilizing things like that Taunt More or the Hurricane, like you said, Rob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I'm not sure how Matthias' plan now is against its Tornadus, because it's not only is it in Tailwind, it's just faster than these both Pokemon anyway. And Hurricanes are going to be able to pick up the KO on this Venusaur here. And he's actually going to switch it out instead. Yeah,
letting it take a little bit of a break, maybe wanting it later for if rain runs out or something like that. But gets the Intimidate in, and I think that's probably the most crucial bit because your Kyogre is asleep. You want your Kartana, the Kartana to not be dealing as much damage, particularly if you're going to leave in your Kyogre like Matteo has done. Knockoff is coming out though from the Kartana though, and it's going to reveal the item that is the Choice Scarf as Sleep Powder comes out. So Sleep Powder going to put that Incineroar to sleep. Not going to be able to use Fake Out on the next turn, interestingly enough.
I don't like that at all, because Matteo just had a free option to go for that Hurricane into that Venusaur. Maybe he's not running an offensive move. Maybe he's only running supporting moves on his Tornadus there. But if you have Hurricane,
you definitely would have clicked it then for sure.
Definitely would have clicked it against 2 Grass types for sure. But now he has 2 Pokemon asleep, and this Incineroar hasn't even taken a turn of sleep yet. And Matthias has the option to just go with this Kartana, pick up a KO in this Kyogre, and get a big Beast Boost going.
I mean, if the Tornadus could have gone for Taunt and stopped that Sleep Powder, but then there's always the risk that Venusaur could have something like Grass Knot, and while your Kyogre is asleep, you don't want to be leaving it vulnerable like that.
No, but I mean, it was asleep anyway. It had to take sleep turn, so I think, I'm not sure if I really agree with that either way. And he's actually bringing in his Tornadus again now. Maybe he realized that he really has to taunt this Venusaur.
Yeah, but first of all, Kyogre is going to have to take a Leaf Blade. If that doesn't wake it up, I don't know what does, but it's going to shoot right back to Matteo. And
but I think Tornadus is going to take a big Sludge Bomb now, and I don't really like that either, because Tornadus is one of your big win conditions.
Yeah,
and now it's going to take a lot of damage, and potentially... Ooh.
Oh, takes it down to 29. Didn't get the poison, though, but I don't understand why he switched it out to switch it straight back in again. It could just be an error, but you know, it's not an automatic switch. You do have to really utilize a lot of turn time here.
Yeah.
And ball positioning, you can't just sort of click your fingers and make it change. So it's interesting that he's done that, and I wonder what was going through his mind to get that adjustment. But either way, he's got that Tornadus back on the field in the rain, can maybe start going for those Hurricanes if he's got it, or just going for some taunts. But he has lost his Kyogre, and unless that was the plan all along to get the Xerneas in a position, but you've then allowed the Kartana to have a Beast Boost. It's back up to neutral.
Yeah, and having a Xerneas against these 2 Pokemon, the Poison type and the Steel type grass Pokemon here, you don't want that at all, yeah. And Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, Tornadus could have done a lot of damage in terms of Hurricane to both of these Pokemon, but now it's only at 29% health. And the Cortana is actually faster than the Tornadus even.
We'll have to see what's going on. Oh, the Tornadus has been KO'd there. Sorry, I always seem to time getting a drink of water at always the worst moments. But it's going to be the Moonblast coming out from that Xerneas. Unfortunately, not going for the Geomancy, but there's not going to be enough to pick up the KO against that Kartana. And Sludge Bomb's going to go off, do some good damage. There's no Geomancy boosts here. And actually picks up the one-hit KO with a critical hit.
Didn't matter in the end, I feel like. Incineroar still hasn't taken any sleep turns yet. And the two Grass types on Matthias' side just clearing the board here immediately. And I'm still not sure how Matteo played his Tornadus there. And I don't agree with it at all.
No, it's definitely something that's boggled us a little bit here. Yeah. I can only assume that he's not running Hurricane.
Yeah, either that or maybe he was predicting a switch out from the Venusaur, but that would have been a really hard read to then switch your own Tornadus as well, because a Cortana is usually not something that can really hit Tornadus at all. The most it can do is it can potentially knock off, but Tornadus should easily be taking that. Yeah, but at this point, Matthias is easily going to take game 2 here, and we're at least going to go into game 3.
Yeah,
so that's
quite exciting. Particularly here in top 4, it's always good to have a game 3, and particularly Matthias, he's someone who I've played several times at tournaments. They've always gone to game 3. They're very, very stressful, but he's one of these players that is amazing at absorbing information. So he lost game 1 to Matteo, and he's just come back. And yes, Matteo played that little bit of a crazy game, but even so, Matteo is able to capitalize on that. He's got so much more information from this game, learned a little bit more about this Tornadus and how Matteo plays it. And I think Matthias plays the player very well as the team.
Yeah, definitely. And he played that game 2 a little bit better. But I still feel like I thought that there was one position where I was like, okay, yeah, Matthias is not going to win this anymore. But then he pulls it out of the bag anyway, and I'm not. Now he's going to make sure that he has enough tricks to win game 3 as well. We've seen him change it up, going for the Incineroar this time. Game 1 he went with his own Xerneas instead.
Yes.
Not sure if it really worked out the way he hoped, because his Incineroar basically just died to a Water Spout immediately. So yeah, we're gonna see if he changes it up, Matthias, or if he just goes with the same 4 again. I think Matteo doesn't really have a reason to change it up.
No,
he's been in good positions all the time, but he just needs to capitalize off it a little bit better. And he needs to use his Tornadus, I think, more and more efficiently.
I think he was just trying to preserve it in the back, but either way, it's game 3, fresh slate, and it's going to be the same leads for Matthias here. It's going to be the Venusaur and the Groudon, as I believe that's the Xerneas with the nickname of Pippin with Incineroar. So, again, quite a classic lead there, but no Tornadus. So Matteo may be going back to basics a little bit here and trying to shake up his strategy.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because I think we've seen from Matthias already that this is a choice band Groudon, and so Matteo has a really hard choice to make. He can fake out the Venusaur, and then he can not get sleep powdered. But then you lose your Incineroar to Precipice Blades, and your Xerneas is going to take a lot of damage. But if you're Matthias as well, you don't want to lose your Sash on your Venusaur, so maybe he's going to protect it, and then you have to fake out the Groudon, really. So it's kind of 50-50s at this point. No protection from Matthias' side. And yeah, it is going to go for the safe slot into the Venusaur.
Gets a little cheeky critical hit, and you're probably going to be praying at this point with your Geomancy boost up that the Precipice Blades will miss. And it's very possible. It's something we have seen so much at the moment.
Yeah.
Even so, depending on how Matteo has built the Xerneas, it's not one we've seen on stream before. It could be an incredibly bulky one. Potentially will just survive in there if it is choice band on the Groudon. But it's still such a risky play, particularly as the sun is still up. So you might, if you do manage to survive this turn, you're going to need the rain back on your side. But it does connect. Going to connect on both the Incineroar and the Xerneas. Xerneas easily able to take that, but Incineroar going to be KO'd. But it does give Matteo now the free switch into that Kyogre.
Yeah, that's true. It does bring in the Kyogre now, and a Water Spout and a Dazzling Gleam are going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah. And Matthias doesn't really have a switch into that, so he has to choose. He has to choose at least one Pokemon a sec in order to get the weather advantage back into his favor.
Yeah, he's looking very pensive at the moment there on stream, sort of going, "Oops, there is a Kyogre and a Xerneas on the field boosted." And the thing is, if he has Incineroar on the back and switches it in, the Intimidate's going to do nothing. So Matteo is in such a strong special attacking position right now. Matthias has to really think about how he's going to get around this. We've seen as the Choice Scarf on that Kyogre. There's nothing he can do to stop the Water Spout.
No, there's nothing at all. And I think he has to switch out his Groudon. He has to bring that in later to get the sun up. So he just has to pick one of the 2 Pokemon that he has in the back to just sack it completely. I'm gonna assume it's either the Cortana or the Incineroar probably. And I think at this point you probably want to sack your Incineroar. Your Cortana is pretty useful against this Xerneas still, and also against the Kyogre.
Yes.
And this Incineroar, yeah, I don't think you need it at this point. Not as much as you need your Kartana. So we're going to see probably Matthias switch out of Pokemon. But if you're Matteo, you might also want to kind of make sure that you know that the switch is coming and maybe already switch out your Kyogre because you want your Kyogre in rain.
Yeah, well, the Groudon's going to switch out, and it is going to be the Kartana. So a bold play here from Matthias as the Venusaur goes for the Protect, though. Maybe wants to keep it on the field if the Kartana gets KO'd and you get your Sun back up. But it's going to be the Moonblast going into the Kartana there that was the Groudon. Going to do a huge amount of damage, taking it into the red, as Ice Beam actually comes out going into that Venusaur. So interesting choice there. I was sure it was going to be the Water Spout.
I like that actually a lot by Matteo, because now what he actually does is he doesn't KO the Kartana, and he has the speed advantage of both the two Pokemon on the field still, and he doesn't get the Venusaur and Sun. So this Kyogre is still faster. Now we can just Ice Beam the Venusaur and Dazzling Gleam and pick up 2 KOs. And Matthias really, you look at his face and he was hoping to just sack his Kartana there, and it doesn't happen. And he needs his Venusaur and the Sun, so now he has to sack another Pokemon.
Exactly, and that's where the Incineroar comes back in. He wants to keep that Sun out. But of course, Matteo, we haven't, I believe, seen his fourth and final Pokemon. If it is something like that Tornadus, and he gets it next to that Kyogre, there's nothing that Matthias is going to be able to do to stop the rain from being on the field. But like you said there, Rob, the Dazzling Gleam easily picks up the KO there on the Kartana. But it's now whether the Ice Beam could be enough for that Incineroar.
No, that's not going to be enough for the Incineroar at least. So at least the Incineroar is a decent switch in into the Dazzling Gleam. Ice Beam shouldn't do too much here to the Incineroar
just
at
a little
all.
chip.
A little bit of chip damage there. And it all kind of depends on what Matteo has in the back now, and also really depends on what kind of Incineroar this is. If this is the Roar set, then you still have kind of the mind game of Roar and Fake Out going on here. Yeah, and he needs to bring in his Groudon here because he needs to get the Sun up.
Yeah, Matteo's not in a position now to reactivate that with Rain Dance or anything like that. He has to switch out his Kyogre to whichever Pokemon's going to be in the back if he wants to get that reset. And as well, that Groudon, he's lost his Incineroar, so he can't intimidate it.
Yeah, and I think both players are now going to take a lot of their time to decide what to do here. With only 3 Pokemon remaining, you need to make sure that you keep your weather advantage, and you need to keep your speed advantage. Because once the Venusaur gets into the Sun, it's going to beat this Kyogre, but Kyogre in Rain is going to beat the rest of Matthias' team at this range. So it's really going to come down to whoever makes the right trades here, and it looks like Matteo is maybe sacking off his Kyogre here.
Maybe going for the Protect on the Xerneas as the Fake Out actually goes into that Kyogre there. Going to do the little bit of chip damage as Precipice Blades comes out. Obviously going to go into the Protect there, but will it avoid? No, it won't. It's going to connect right onto it.
That should probably be enough for the Kyogre, because with Choice Scarf you usually don't run both. No, that is enough. Wow. Great call by Matthias there, calling the right Protect. Because if the Xerneas actually didn't Protect and went for a Moonblast onto Groudon, the Groudon would have just went straight down there.
Exactly.
So great play by Matthias, picking the right target for that Fake Out.
And it is the Tornadus in the back though as well. I mean, the thing with the Tornadus here is even if it goes for Rain Dance, yes, you don't have the Kyogre, but you're facing down against 2 Fire types, and one of which can't hit you with Precipice Blades because you're a Flying type.
Ah, that's true actually, yeah. So I think your safest play is now probably to first set up Rain Dance, and the thing is, we still don't know if it has Hurricane or not, because you need some way to... Oh, actually, you can Moonblast the Groudon here, and you can set up a Rain Dance. This way, your Xerneas is going to leave a Flare Blitz from Incineroar, and you're probably going to one-shot the Groudon with Moonblast.
Yeah, if you go for something like the Rain Dance here as well, then you're going to be stopping this Venusaur from getting its Chlorophyll Beast on the next turn. And if you go for the Moonblast into that Groudon, you're going to remove that threat. So Matthias cannot get up the Sun again.
No, and I don't think Matthias has any way to stop that, because just the combination, the Flare Blitz was going to do nothing in the Sun to Xerneas, and a Moonblast should be picking up the KO onto Groudon here. It's a great play by Matteo.
Yep, going straight into that Groudon. This should be enough to easily pick up the KO here.
Yeah, that is enough.
Now that's going to leave Matthias down to that Venusaur and the Incineroar. So yes, it can come in and Fake Out again, but Xerneas can just Protect. And sort of Matteo could potentially close this up, but it all comes down to this Tornadus, I think, behaving itself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's switched out in Game 2. It can't switch out now.
No,
there's only 2 Pokemon, but... Oh, you just never know at this stage. Obviously, really there's still the Fake Out, and that Tornadus didn't Protect previously, so I think a safe play would just be to maybe go for the Taunt with the Tornadus into Venusaur.
Yeah, I think that's relatively safe.
And then just Protect?
Yeah, you gotta be worried a little bit. You could maybe risk a Fake Out Sludge Bomb combination into the Tornadus, for example. So it's still a little bit tricky, but I think Matthias is gonna need critical hits at this point. We still don't know if this Tornadus is Protect or not. I'm probably gonna assume that it doesn't, because it never went for Protect so far.
No, very true. We still don't know the full moveset on that Pokemon.
No, and if you're Matthias, you probably want to... Maybe you want to just guess that this Xerneas is going to Protect, and you maybe just want to Fake Out Spore this Tornadus to have at least a little bit of a chance to get back into this game. And that's why Matthias is not giving him the chance. He's just going to go for the double attack with both his Pokemon.
Yep, no protects either, so Dazzling Gleam coming out from the Xerneas will be enough to pick up the KO on that Incineroar. So now it's Venusaur versus both of Matteo's Pokemon, and as long as the Xerneas can hang around, I think a Moonblast on the next turn should be able to pick it up, but
yeah, he went for the double.
Yeah, going into that Tornadus, so Xerneas not protecting, I think it's just one Matteo a place in the finals.
Yeah, great call there. So we're still not going to see if this is Hurricane, Tornadus or not.
No.
I haven't seen that at all, but I think he went just for the Taunt and Dazzling Gleam combination, because that covers a lot of things. I think the only thing that can go wrong with that is a potential Sludge Bomb crit onto Xerneas, if it lifts the Dazzling Gleam, which it probably should. But Venusaur is going to go down now to this Moonblast, and Matteo is going to take this top 4 match going into finals. So now we have our first finalist already.
Oh, that's amazing. Matteo has fought through. He wanted to be on stream. He's got it here, and he has got a place in the grand finals. But what an amazing set as well. That Tornadus really showcased so well next to the Kyogre.
Yeah, definitely.
We see Kyogre Ludicolo everywhere, but I feel like there could be a new partner Pokemon.
Yeah, Tornadus is actually one of these Pokemon that you probably kind of overlook when you're team building, because you don't see it at all. And it's just one of these Pokemon you're like, oh, that exists as well, does it?
Yeah. It's there.
But with that Prankster ability, it's actually quite a good support. With that Rain Dance, being able to taunt as well. Yeah, and then we've only seen those moves actually, so there's still
a lot of mystery going ahead for the finals.
So yeah, we've seen Taunt, Tailwind, and Rain Dance. So there's still a mystery move. We're still not sure if it is Hurricane or not.
No, I'm very confused which one it could be.
I'm really confused. And I'm not sure what kind of other support moves it gets. Maybe it gets something really interesting. Maybe it gets Ally Switch, something like that. I don't know.
We'll have to find out in finals. But we will be showing our next top 4 game very, very soon. But just before we go, we wanted to say at the beginning, but they jumped in. Oh, yeah. We do have another giveaway going on at the moment. So it's the giveaway for this amazing bag signed by Masuda and Mystery Wow at Game Freak. So really, really exciting to have these signatures on this bag that was very exclusive at the Nashville World Championships. So if you want to be a part of that, as we're in the terms and conditions, you need to be a sub. You need to put the exclamation point giveaway into the chat, and we'll be able to give that out at the end of the day. But it's one of those things, unless you were there getting the signatures and a competitor with the bag, this is such an exclusive item.
It's really rare. Yeah, that's definitely one of a kind there. So definitely make sure you enter that giveaway, because it's also a really nice looking bag. I'm going to be kind of jealous of whoever.
Well, I've been carrying it around all day, and I'm going to be really sad to lose it.
Yeah.
So someone, win this before I take it home with me, please. It could easily happen. But I'm going to take a break now. Rob, I think you're going to be on with Romy for the last time in this tournament as we do our top 4. So last time casting with you, very, very sad for this tournament.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it's been great so far. Definitely such a great tournament. So, yeah.
Yeah, been some amazing play, and it's lovely to showcase the new format as well here at Frankfurt.
Yeah,
but
I'm really excited to play more now. It's just
you're gonna leave the desk, go play.
Yeah, almost like I haven't touched my DS in a while, but after commentating, it's like, oh, you definitely get that urge to play again. Yeah, definitely.
Right, well, we're gonna give Rob a little bit of a break, and we'll see you guys very soon. Don't go anywhere.